Hello and welcome to the Blockade Runner podcast. My name is John, and we are still in the Air BNB at Star Wars Celebration. And with me right now is Ryan.
Hello.
And Dan.
Hello.
And Chris is outside, and he's going to maybe pop in and out. We'll see what happens. So it's a sad feeling in the Air BNB right now because we are also packing up and getting ready to move out of here tomorrow because tomorrow's the last day of Star Wars Celebration. So, our plate was too full yesterday. We didn't do an episode on Saturday. We did a Thursday preview episode. We did a Friday episode. And we're going to talk Saturday and Sunday now. And let's start with Saturday and highlights from Saturday. So, we didn't do the Galaxy's Edge thing, really. You guys watched it a little bit. Dan, you spent some time in line for the store on Saturday, which actually turned out to not be awful, right?
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. We were in line, and towards the beginning of being in line, they fixed the app for Android so you could actually use the light speed. So a bunch of people did that and got out of line, and then as we were getting through the line, they fixed the iOS one. But, I don't know, 2 hours total in and out, and that's less than I was expecting, so...
Yeah, so half of Saturday and all of Sunday, the Lightspeed lane thing for the store was actually working really well, and seems like people were not having really to wait at all to get into the store, maybe half an hour or something.
Yeah, I used it.
Yeah, how long did you just walk right in, or did you have to get into a Lightspeed line?
I got into, it's Lightspeed, air quotes.
Yeah.
But no, I was in line maybe 15 minutes. And the whole time I was just on the phone with airlines and hotels.
Yeah, Ryan, boy, we can talk about that. Ryan was meant to be on a plane right now.
Yeah.
And instead, he's staying for all 5 days. Well, not all 5 days, because you weren't here Thursday.
I wasn't here Thursday.
But you didn't miss that much Thursday. So you're here for all 4 days of programming at Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, because there was thunder snow.
Yep.
is what the locals were calling it. And my flight got canceled, and there are no available flights for Monday, so I am flying out on Tuesday morning.
Yeah. So it's awesome. And we're also really excited because our friend Adam, who went with Chris and I to Star Wars Celebration in Denver in 1999, he's driving up tomorrow. Surprise appearance.
And number 3.
Yeah, he went to 2 and 3 with us as well. Of course, yes, he did, yes. But, it's the 20th anniversary of Star Wars Celebration in Denver, and we totally did that together, and, it's been a bummer that he hasn't been to Celebration for a while, so he's coming up, and that's going to be great. Chris, don't worry about walking on the floor, because it's not going to pick that up. You're good. You do your thing, yeah.
So then after I was in line for the store, I got one of the, well, they don't call them Lightspeed, but whatever, where you can kind of reserve to get into a panel, and I scooted over to the Rebels Remembered, and that was pretty fun. Dave Filoni was there. I forget the name of the woman who does Hera's voice.
Vanessa Marshall.
And Ezra's voice.
Taylor Gray.
And Sabine's voice.
Tia Sakar.
And that was fun. They
Nice.
kind of all, remembered Rebels. But then we also found out things like Tia was the only one who knew how things ended, whereas, Hera has a kid and all that, and those other folks didn't find out about that until the premiere of the episode.
Wow.
So that was kind of cool. And then they all didn't know about the other stuff, like searching for Ezra, that Ezra was still out there because, what's her name? Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Does the whole kind of epilogue at the very end there.
Right,
So.
There's no dialogue from the rest of them, so they didn't have to know. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
that
cool.
was fun, and it's always fun to hear Dave Filoni talk about things, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really entertaining. I had seen online that he also talked about how he wrote down on paper the final scene of Rebels so that there was no electronic copy anywhere that could potentially leak. So that was pretty cool too. Just an interesting little tidbit. And they gave out posters afterwards, which is cool. So no poster after the episode 9 panel, which was a little bit weird. But then ever since then, it's been Poster City around Celebration. So I maybe they were just afraid of leaking the title, and they didn't do posters for that reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
But those who were lucky enough to be at the 9 panel got those sweet beanies. So
And
still pretty good.
McDonald's.
And McDonald's, yes. And Dan reached under a seat in the Wintrust Arena at some point and got me an empty McDonald's box, which I was excited about. I wanted one of those. So Thank you, Dan.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Saturday highlights for you, Ryan?
I played Star Wars Pinball from Zen Studios on Switch.
Yep.
I played it in portable mode, and I talked to one of the leads over at Zen Studios for a while, and found out some pretty cool stuff about that. And I'll be writing up an article, a preview of sorts for Nintendo World Report on that. But like, what I can say is, I mean, we know, Zen Pinball's their pinball is good. And their Star Wars tables are great. And it's really awesome to play on Switch, and it's the first Star Wars game on the Switch. And something that they talked about when I was over there is like how like excited they are to be part of like the Star Wars video game legacy on Nintendo platforms.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Let's see, highlights for me. Is that other highlights for you, or is that kind of the main one?
Oh, I also went to the cosplay thing. After going to all these celebrations, I'd never actually gone to one of the formal competitions, and that was kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
They had the different categories, and yeah.
Cool. I picked up the Hasbro exclusives, and that was really easy and smooth because I won the lottery, and I guess that's the only way you could get the exclusives. Yeah. So I picked those up, and I was in and out in 10 or 15 minutes, so that was cool.
Yeah, I'm going to try my luck one last time tomorrow to get a wristband for Del Rey.
For Master and Apprentice.
Yeah, for that special edition. Those have been gone right away.
I'd be happy just to pick up the regular copy there, too, if I could.
Those
tomorrow,
are sold out.
Oh, they said they were bringing in a truckload.
Yeah, and they sold out of all of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Also, like, speaking of Del Rey, like, Del Rey panel, I went to two of them. I went to two Del Rey panels. Well, we went to the Lucasfilm Publishing.
Yeah.
And then the actual Del Rey panel. And you want to get the biggest pop at Star Wars Celebration, be Claudia Gray, and have Lost Stars mentioned, because like that audience like goes nuts for that, myself included, because it's the best Star Wars book ever. But those were good. Not really any like major announcements from those panels, but they were they were fun to hear the authors talk about their books. There's a lot to be excited about, but it was mostly all stuff that was already announced.
Kind of same with Hasbro too, which we both went to. It was fun. There was a couple little things, but like it was mainly discussing stuff that we kind of knew about already, and it was fine, but it wasn't like a major, it was cool, but not
like
not
a ton of reveals. Yeah. Same with Marvel to an extent as well.
I think a Finn comic, right? And
those were just the Age of Resistance books that like I don't know if we knew about like what the sequel trilogy books were going to be.
Right.
But we did find out that G. Willow Wilson is writing a Holdo story in the Age of Resistance special.
Okay.
So that's really cool. G. Willow is one of my favorite writers. She wrote Miss Marvel for a while, which was like a real breakout hit and an amazing book. She's writing Wonder Woman right now, and really stoked for her Amelin Holdo story. It's going to be a story taking place before Last Jedi, obviously, but it's going to be kind of like her between where she was in Leia, Princess of Alderaan by Claudia Gray, and the character she was in Last Jedi. So it's going to be a story like showing how she became like this sort of revered leader.
Cool. All right, let's see. Oh, we went to the Toys That Made Us panel, which was all about the Power of the Force 2, and that was a lot of fun. It was interesting though because it was like I thought it was going to be really like digging into details on the history of Power of the Force, and they did sort of, but it was more just like I don't know, just kind of talking about the Power of the Force figures, Power of the Force 2 figures, and some shade thrown at them too, a little bit, like lovingly. But I'm like, man, after being at that panel, like I love those figures even more than I did before. Like I'm really into Power of the Force too. Like the big hulking 90s characters, I love them. I think they're awesome. So it was fun, and they showed a clip from a cut segment about the Power of the Force 2 figures, because their first episode of that show, if you've watched it on Netflix, The Toys That Made Us, was about Star Wars figures, and they did a whole thing. I think that's what they were showing. They did a whole thing on the Power of the Force 2 figures, and they had to cut that out, and so I think that's what they showed us. But then apparently they're putting out a DVD of the Toys That Made Us series, and it's going to have that as bonus features. And because you weren't at that one, were you, Ryan?
No, I wasn't. I've watched Toys That Made Us.
Yeah. Dan, you were there though?
Yeah, but
And
I haven't seen the show.
Okay. Yeah, but it was a fun panel. So we went to one tonight to break sequence here a little bit, called Into the Archives, which was really cool, and that was like detailed, like in the weeds, like hardcore detailed. And I kind of thought maybe the Power of the Force thing would be a little more like that, and it wasn't. And there's pros and cons to both kinds of panels. So those guys were really funny and entertaining, and it was a great panel. It was just like, oh man, like I thought maybe I'd learn more that I didn't know about Power of the Force 2, and that didn't really happen, but it was still awesome. So
maybe you will when you watch those features.
Yeah, I think I'll probably get the DVD set because it's a fun show, and like lots of bonus features like that, like cut segments and stuff. I think that'd be pretty fun. And then we wrap Saturday up.
Not quite ready.
Oh, not ready? Okay.
No, I'm not ready. I'm sorry. Because I wasn't finished talking about the Marvel panel. So sorry, the comics are my jam. So they also announced that Greg Pak is going to be taking over Star Wars from Kieran Gillen at issue 68. Yeah. And
almost nice.
His second issue will be very nice.
Nice.
But yeah, like what's interesting about that is Greg Pak is currently writing the Age of Rebellion. What is it? Age of Republic?
Age of Republic.
Age of Republic. I don't know why I was
No. Age of Republic is the prequel ones.
Yeah.
Age of Rebellion is...
Age of Rebellion. You're right. Okay, yeah, because Jody Hauser wrote. It's been a long weekend. It's still not done. But yeah, so he's writing that, and that like kind of leaked because there was an Amazon listing for like the first trade paperback. So we kind of knew he'd be writing it. But what I didn't know is the interiors are going to be by Phil Noto, which for the
what now?
For the
interiors.
Yeah.
The art for the book.
Yes.
Is Phil Noto?
It's Phil Noto.
Oh.
Who has really just been kind of doing...
He goes covers. Yeah.
Yeah, but...
well, he did Poe for a while, though, right?
He did Poe for a while. He did I think he did the Chewbacca mini-series.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But yeah, he's going to be the full-time artist on Star Wars now.
Okay.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, we're huge fans.
No, something just happened over here as far as my interest in reading Marvel Star Wars goes. And Phil Noto bump. I'm that's awesome. Yeah.
And it looks like it's gonna be some pretty fun stuff coming up in there. And then like the last thing from the Marvel panel is they announced Target Vader, which is a miniseries which like it's a little hard to get like super excited about another
Marvel
Vader series. Vader.
Oh my god,
series. Yeah. But what's kind of cool about this one is they're bringing back a character from the original Marvel run, from the 80s, who's going to be hunting Vader and a bounty hunter. So cool. I think Valance is maybe
okay.
Zalance. I don't know.
Isn't Jackson supposed to be showing up somewhere in a Marvel
Yes, Jackson will be showing up in the issue 108, which is the like sequel issue to the 80s Marvel.
That's right. Okay.
Stuff to celebrate Marvel's 80th anniversary this year. So
Cool.
Yeah, so some cool stuff. No like major announcements. I was kind of hoping that they'd Target Vader's just like a mini series. I was kind of hoping they would have announced the the next like maxi series, because like Darth Vader's done and Poe Dameron's done. Like what's going to be the other book besides Star Wars and Aphra? So.
Well, I don't know if it'll have anything to do with episode 9, but I felt like the theme for Saturday, after going to a couple of those like Hasbro and Del Rey and stuff, or Lucasfilm Publishing, I felt like the theme for Saturday was episode 9 is on the way, and pretty soon we're going to tell you more about episode 9, but not today.
Yeah.
So,
That's
like
true.
it could be related to that in some way, and if it was, then they weren't ready to talk about that yet. So.
Yeah, because like at the Lucasfilm Publishing panel, they ended with like, we're going to do a journey to episode 9. We're not talking about it now.
Yeah. I almost forgot. Pretty big highlight for me on Saturday was going to the Jedi Fallen Order panel in the Wintrust Arena, and that was my first time in the Wintrust Arena, which it's really cool being in there. It's really fun. It's like a big, pretty big arena, and it just has a cool like the lighting and the sort of like LED panels all over the place, and the music and everything. It has a fun like celebration vibe that you don't quite get if you're in the Twin Suns or Galaxy or smaller stages. So it's really cool being over there. And I went to the Jedi Fallen Order panel, hung out with Caleb and Connor, friends of the show, and also Mike Skymauler. And that was really cool. We've been hanging out with him all weekend, and that's been a lot of fun. So, and the panel itself was great. I thought it was great. It's single player focused, and the story seems cool, but I was telling you, Ryan, yesterday, and I still feel this way. It's like, if the gameplay is fun and it's a cool Star Wars kind of vibe, even if the story is just like whatever, I won't really care. I'll be into it, but the story seems, I think, like it'll be pretty solid.
It's intriguing.
So,
yeah, it's a good concept.
Yeah. So, but if the story's just like decent, but the gameplay is really fun and the Star Wars universe is captured well, then I think, I'm pretty excited. So
yeah,
looking forward to that. So then to round out Saturday, we went to the podcast meetup, sort of, at the Arc Bar. You were there for a long time. We were there for a little bit. That was fun. Met some people, had a good time. That was cool. And then we also went to the Steel Wars live podcast. And that was also fun, I thought. And, ended up being kind of a long day / night. But I had a lot of fun, and it was cool. It was like Saturday was our big day.
It was a big day.
Yeah, it was a big day.
It was a long day.
Yeah, long day.
Still feeling a bit of Saturday right now.
Still feeling a little bit of Saturday on Sunday night, because I went to bed at 2:30, 2:30. And got up at Chris. We woke up at Chris doesn't have a mic right now, but we woke up at 6:30. So, and yeah, that's a good way to, I guess, move into Sunday, because today was the day that Dan and I brought our kids to Celebration. So we definitely did Celebration with our kids on about 4.5 hours of sleep, maybe something like that. But it was fine. I was fine.
Yeah, it was good. It's their first time being there. We've obviously shown them pictures and done like FaceTime with them at previous celebrations, but it was fun for them to get to see it in person, and kicked off the day with the Mandalorian.
Yes, and they, my older son liked that panel, okay, but like panels are not the thing when you bring kids to Celebration, at least the age that our kids are.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed that Dexter in particular made it through there without like complaining a bunch. Yeah, he did ask me like, how much more time is left a couple of times.
Owen did too. Yeah,
and I was like, oh, when we get here, they're going to show you some more stuff. And yeah,
I had to give Elliot my phone like before it even started, because he was not like in the mood to just sit in the arena and watch that panel. But I understand that, which is why we didn't try to do the Clone Wars panel or any other panels today, because kids don't want to do that, and that's fine. But we did, we won the lottery for the big show, for the big arena for Mandalorian. And it was like, well, we need to do that. You know what I mean? So made them sit through one. And then after that, we just we walked the show floor and took some pictures with cosplayers, and they cosplayed sort of, which was fun. They wore costumes. And had a good time. But I thought going into it, you know what, they're going to want to do maybe 3-4 hours and that'll be it. And prophetic. It was exactly that. Like about the 3-hour mark, 4-hour mark, they were just definitely ready to leave. So,
they were still having fun and everything and not really complaining, but
they had seen everything that they would really do and enjoy. They'd seen and we'd shown them. So,
right.
So it was great to be able to have them come up for a day, and it's like
I think they're excited to do it again too.
Yeah, Dexter was your son.
He was
Dexter.
Like, you should bring. I want to go the whole weekend next time, and I'm like, okay.
That's not happening.
Yeah. No. I will love for him to come to it, but I will love it more when he's more interested in some of the panels. I mean, it's not like I just sit in panels all day, but that's obviously a large part of the attraction. So,
well, yeah, when it's out of town, it would be like if we would do that, if we would bring them, we'd have to travel there. And we did this actually when Dexter was like 6 months old and Owen was like 1. We took him to Orlando. Yeah. We just went with our whole families, and our wives hung out with the kids every day while we were at Celebration. And if they announce another celebration tomorrow or sometime next year or whatever, and it's like, in California or Florida or wherever else, the only way we could really bring the kids is if we just go as a family and, they come one day and then do other stuff the other days.
Which I think will work out fine.
Yeah, that would be fine. As long as it's not in like, I don't know, Boise or something. You know what I mean? I don't think,
right.
Yeah, I don't think we could really make that sale, but, if it's somewhere cool. Boise's cool. Boise listeners that don't exist, but I'm just saying like that wouldn't happen. So,
do they have podcasts in Boise? Can you listen to a podcast there?
Check the download map next time you log in.
Yeah, we got to get some downloads before I can check the download map. But yeah, we'll see.
Man, you just played to yourself.
No?
Let's actually talk about the Mandalorian.
Yes, I think we should. That's how we kicked our day off.
Yeah.
Panel was fantastic. Let's talk Mandalorian.
Yeah. Going into it, like, I knew that they were like, the approach that they were taking, like, oh, this is going to be like a Star Wars Western. It's, inspired by Kurosawa. It's inspired by, Leone and like those like samurai and Western films. But like, that's something that's been said about a lot of Star Wars stuff. And, like going into Solo, it was pretty implied that, that was going to have like a Western vibe, and we saw those posters and everything, and everyone's like, oh, this is going to be a space Western, and it really didn't have that feel.
You don't think it had a space Western feel?
No.
We need Chris to get in on this. Come on, Chris. Jump in for a minute. Come on. Chris didn't know what to think about Mandalorian at first, and he really ended up liking it, so why did you like it, Chris?
Well, I had low expectations. I didn't have no expectations. I didn't know it was going to be based off of everything Ryan said. I had zero knowledge of what they were going to do with it, and I was against it when they announced it.
Yeah.
As far as the idea.
Sure.
But I like the idea after seeing the trailer and having Jon Favreau and Filoni talk, because I love Jon Favreau. And, I mean, they announced Carl Weathers was in it, and I didn't know that, and I love Carl Weathers as well, and I'm on board 100%.
It was a lot of fun to be in that room and see Chris like realize like Carl Weathers is walking out. Carl Weathers is walking on the stage and he's in the show. What? It was a lot of fun to watch his face react to that. So
and I did see some Western, a lot of Western in the the shots and the music. I mean, the music was. I mean, I can't wait just to see all the episodes and how music evolves or just goes.
Mm-hmm.
And the shots are very Western, like harsh lighting, big shadows, silhouette. Just beautiful stuff. And
yeah. And Chris is a cinematographer, so he's a little more knowledgeable about all this stuff than we are. I am anyway. And the plebes. Yeah. Chris knows what he's talking about, and so you were feeling those Western vibes, Chris, like visually?
Yeah, for most of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I'm so then the part that I would say as somebody who doesn't know the craft like Chris does is like that scene, because here's the deal: we were there, and if you're there,
nobody has seen this, right?
Yeah, right. That's the thing. Like if you weren't at Celebration, you didn't get to see the trailer, and well, like they showed
Star Wars Leaks subreddit.
What? Oh, they've seen it.
Yeah, go to the Star Wars Leaks subreddit.
Okay.
You can see some copies of it there.
Dan's letting you know where you can find the bootleg. But no, but you're not supposed to have seen it unless you were there. And they first showed like this behind the scenes thing.
Although before you go there, I thought it was kind of funny that Favreau kind of like tongue in cheek, he's like, "Oh, I kind of forgot to tell you guys not to record after they showed the trailer or whatever the first part was." Yeah,
that was pretty good. He stopped and said, "Well, let's watch something," And then when it was over, he was like, "Oops, I was supposed to tell you not to record it." But there was security pretty much like, where we were.
Yeah, and I was over in the Galaxy stage, and they were constantly up and down the aisles. Even when the other stuff wasn't going on, they were hounding everybody, put their phones away.
Yeah. So, but they showed like this behind the scenes thing, and that got us really hyped, and it was like, if that's all they showed, it would have been good.
Mm-hmm.
But when they were done with the panel, they showed a whole scene, followed by a trailer of sorts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that stuff was awesome. And in that scene, it was like the Mandalorian coming in to talk to Werner Herzog's character, and he's like the big crime boss or whatever, I guess you'd say. It seems like he's an Imperial, I guess.
Yeah,
he was like flanked by stormtroopers.
Yeah,
but
I mean, like an Imperial insignia logo, like medallion. But what does the Empire even mean?
Yeah, because it's 5 years after Return of the Jedi, so it's like the Republic is trying to get control of things. But this is set in the outer reaches. Pedro Pascal, who was on the panel today, which was really cool, he said the outer reaches, and it's like, well, I'm used to the outer rim. But then in like Force Awakens and stuff, they talk about the western reaches, so it's like, I don't know if it's Tatooine. They didn't say what planets it would be. I know it'll jump between more than one planet, so that's cool. But I don't know if it's like outer rim is what he meant, or if there's a difference between the outer rim and the outer reaches. I'm not sure. But it's a Tatooine kind of feel, outer rim kind of feel. You know what I mean? Which is cool. But the point I was trying to make is about that scene. And Chris and anybody back me up, because you guys have all seen a bunch of westerns or whatever. But to me, that was like straight out of the like whole, one cowboy meeting another cowboy in the saloon. And you never know if one of them's going to pull their gun. It was straight out of, that was Western City right there.
Yeah.
Western Tap, you know what I mean?
I think the what made it feel more like a Western than like something like Solo is it was the pace of it. And like it spent a lot more time like building tension, and it was like a lot more like slow paced, and like the characters are trying to like read each other a little bit. And like we got that a little bit in Solo, like with the card game and the showdown with Memphis Nest in the on that planet. But for the most part, like that was definitely more of like an action movie.
Well, in Solo, yeah, no, totally. Those did have Western feel too. But in Solo, I was always waiting for Solo to crack a joke or for something funny to happen. And when I was watching these scenes from The Mandalorian, I was waiting for somebody to double-cross somebody else or for somebody to kill somebody else. It wasn't, like, scary, but it was tense.
It was
like,
tense,
I seriously thought, like, somebody's going to die here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they didn't, but they will.
Oh, they will.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, like, really seeing the cast out there talking was like really powerful. Like it was the banter between Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Like I could watch that all day. Like I could just watch those two talk.
Yeah.
And like they were incredible. But like the cast, and I also saw the cast on stage at the Star Wars Show Live stage. I was there, and like they came out and were interviewed and talked, and so Carl Weathers, Pedro Pascal, and Gina
Carrera.
Okay, yeah, and like they were, like Gina especially was just like the amount of detail and passion in this production is like I've never experienced it before, and like I don't want to work with anyone who's not this passionate ever again.
Wow, that's
like,
awesome.
Yeah,
that's
and
awesome.
They kind of dug into that. Favreau and Filoni were talking, and like they started talking about this concept. It sounds like when he was doing sound for Iron Man 1. So we're talking a long time ago. They started kicking around because Favreau was a huge Mandalorian fan, and Dave was doing stuff I think he said in Clone Wars during that point, right? So they started talking about kind of that stuff, and it built their relationships.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dave casted him in Clone Wars to play Pre Vizsla, who's a Mandalorian.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was, I guess, maybe, yeah. It's kind of like wasn't totally clear if it was like, well, we started talking about Clone Wars, the Mandalorian culture and Mandalorians in general, because he was playing a Mandalorian in the Clone Wars, or if he was saying, like, we're talking about the Mandalorian because he was working with him in Clone Wars. But either way, Favreau said he's been working on this for years and years, like, thinking about
like
it.
A pet project. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And been wanting to do it for years and years. So, and I thought it was really cool too how he said like he wrote close to half of the first season before he even sat down with Lucasfilm because he wanted to. He's like, I'd rather write it and have them not buy it. 4 episodes.
I thought it was he wrote like 4 different ideas. Like to throw at like where the story would
like, maybe
versions. So like one would stick, ideas would stick.
Oh yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
No, that's what I thought I heard.
Oh, maybe. I thought he said he wrote the whole like the 4 episodes and had the 4 episodes done.
He did make a comment about, I don't know how many episodes he said, but he made a comment like when he's writing and he's on a terror for writing, he'll just sit there and like write and write and
can't
write.
stop. Yeah
Exactly.
And like Dave Filoni brought up how like one of the emails was like of a script was like Christmas Day.
Yeah. they have great chemistry.
Yeah,
like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, and it's like, well, that's good if you want to watch a panel and you want the panel to be entertaining, but I think the bigger thing is like just the way they were kind of completing each other's sentences and they were vibing off each other and joking and stuff. It's like Filoni, I think, directed more than 1 episode of the first season, and Favreau's overseeing the whole thing as like the executive producer or whatever. So the fact that these guys are like so in sync, it's just, I think it's like a really good sign for the show.
Yeah.
And Kathleen Kennedy also, let's point this out. She came out at the beginning of the panel and just kind of introduced it, and then she went off stage. Like she was like, I'll let these guys take it away. But she was like, Dave Filoni is a rock star, and it's like so exciting that he's doing live action.
Yeah.
He's like a rock star at Lucasfilm. So, I mean, that was cool to hear because I think so many people, Star Wars fans, love Dave Filoni because of his contributions, with Clone Wars and Rebels, and really are like feel thankful for what he's done.
Well, and they feel like he's the continuation of George, working so closely through all the Clone Wars stuff.
Yeah, he was like George's. George was his mentor and all that. And I feel I've mentioned it a handful of times on the show, but there was a time in Anaheim where he like did a surprise like signing thing like out on the show floor, and I got in line for it, and I was like, I feel weird saying this, but it's just the truth. I was like almost in tears, just thinking about like if I went up, I don't do autographs really. It's not like a thing that I'm into, but like just to like shake his hand and say thank you for doing like the shows that you've done. And I'm not even a huge Clone Wars fan. Like I like it, but I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah. That was when Rebels was just starting.
That was Rebels season 1 had ended, and Rebels season 1 to me was like, man, so good. And at that time I was like watching Rebels with my kids all the time, and it was just like, dude, you have put together some great Star Wars storytelling here, and like it's awesome. And I just felt like the way a lot of people feel about Dave Filoni, which is that he gets Star Wars. He knows Star Wars, he loves Star Wars, and he's keeping it alive in some ways and doing a lot of great things with it. So to hear her come out and say, look, this guy's a rock star, like it's so cool to see him doing live action because he's really deserving of, that opportunity. Yeah, I thought that was really cool of her to say that. So.
Yeah, because like the fans get it, and I've always said like they may not be the most of the Star Wars fans, but the Star Wars animation fans are the hardest core Star Wars fans of all time.
Quick note on that: I saw Charlotte and Caitlin from the Sky Talkers podcast, which we both really like. Ryan, you and I, and they were deep in conversation with somebody, so I didn't stop to say hello. Which hopefully I'll see them tomorrow and be able to do that. But they were wearing like, I didn't see exactly what it was, but like a blouse or jacket or something that had like Rebels inspired like Loth Wolf type stuff, but then they were both wearing like Dave Filoni cowboy hats or whatever. Like they were kind of like Dave Filoni / Star Wars animation cosplaying today, which was really cool.
Yeah.
What else on the Mandalorian panel?
I mean, I was kind of surprised, and I mean it's just a trailer and a little preview, but how dark the tone really was, because I didn't know what to expect, if they'd be going for a family thing or not. And I kind of don't think I'm gonna show it, at least to my youngest.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'll have to see.
I don't know if it'll be engaging.
They're going for sizzle in that thing, so there's kind of a lot of violence. I mean, nothing gory or bloody or anything like that. Just typical Star Wars violence, but
no R-rated stuff on Disney Plus. So I think it'd be like PG-13 at most.
Yeah.
But I think, like, I don't think it will be engaging for kids because of the pace, like what we talked about. Like, it's so just about, like, building tension and, like, a slower pace than what we're used to.
It feels like it'll be like a PG-13 Breaking Bad or something. You know what I mean? Like, just, like, slow-paced and more character-driven and pretty intense. And, I would not expect it to be, like, fun for kids to watch.
That said, Dexter was super into the trailer.
Yeah. I mean, well, Dexter's 9, and Owen's almost 10. Owen will be 10 and a half by the time it comes out. So even if they're not into it right away, if they do multiple seasons, I'm sure by the time they're like 12 or 13, it would probably be pretty interesting to them. So but little kids like 7, 8-year-olds, I don't know if that would be. I don't think it's for them.
Yeah,
that's
necessarily what Resistance is for.
And then of course. IG-88.
Dude, IG-88 was awesome. Chris, I'm curious about that. Like, were you pumped to see IG-88, or were you a little bit like?
I was, but then I remembered. Oh, I thought I destroyed him and shit at the end. The video game, and I forget, in the book, but
well, I just never know, like if you're gonna be like, they're bringing something back that's awesome, or if you're gonna be like, why don't you do something new instead of like bringing back an old thing? And
no, because he fits. I mean, he just fits in that. I don't know, and he's like, I want to see that guy fits like the cowboy western.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a bad villain, but he's mysterious because we really don't know much. I mean, there was a book, maybe, I think, right? I'm not an expert on all that, but all I know is she has the Empire, IG-88. He's scary, and in Empire, he's in there. But I liked it. It didn't affect my tone on it.
Yeah, I thought it was one of the coolest moments of the little sizzle trailer thing. And I guess we don't know for sure that it's actually IG-88.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Since IG-88 is a droid, it could just be like
unit,
another IG series droid or whatever, but it doesn't really matter.
Right,
if it's...
but then you're pigeonholing like all those droids are...
like IG-88 should be special. Like he should be like, they're all IG series or whatever. Yeah. Like there's other droids of that kind.
Right, that's what
he's the bounty hunter.
He's the bounty hunter one. He's the awesome one.
I mean, that's what maybe the little wrinkle in this for me was just that. Oh well, yeah, Boba Fett was a bounty hunter, so another Mandalorian has to be a bounty hunter. But then I talked with, I think it was Dan or that. Well, the Mandalorians are. I mean, they're a band. They were a warrior culture, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of eased my. I just didn't want to like. Well, yeah, we killed Boba Fett. We don't want to really bring him back, but let's just have another Mandalorian who is a bounty hunter, and they're all, But yeah, it makes sense, right? Does it? To everyone?
Yeah. But then part of me wonders, like, I mean, I guess he's a Mandalorian because the show is called The Mandalorian.
Well,
but
he's got the armor, but he couldn't be. He might not be.
That's what I'm wondering. You know what I mean? Is he? You know what I mean? Because it's just who knows? He probably is, but it's like that was the thing with Boba Fett for a long time. It's just like, wait, Boba Fett's not a Mandalorian. He just wears the armor of the Mandalorians. You know what I mean? And that was kind of no. That's what they always said before. Actually, even now, I'm not sure that Boba Fett's a Mandalorian.
Yeah,
or that Jango Fett is.
Yeah,
it's just the cool armor that the Mandalorian
like has the armor, but I don't know for sure if he's a Mandalorian.
Right. Yeah.
So,
okay.
But like, because I thought the old school like Legends or whatever expanded universe explanation of Boba Fett was supposed to be that like the Mandalorian race was like wiped out. Like there were no Mandalorians anymore. There used to be an army of Mandalorians that all wore that armor, but that Boba Fett had taken on that armor. But like, not that he was a Mandalorian,
like
just that he had gotten that ancient Mandalorian armor or whatever.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Yeah, and I don't know what the current canon version of all of that is, but I still think that's kind of a cool idea. It's like, well, you know, you wear the armor because it's awesome. So Dan is currently showing some of us Aura Singh cosplay, and let's say one of the four of us here responds very viscerally to Aura Singh cosplay, and that one of us is Chris Stevens. So
she is my favorite bounty hunter.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay, well, anybody else, other things on the Mandalorian panel, or it was awesome?
Yeah, I can't say enough about Favreau's enthusiasm and Filoni, like we've talked about, but it was really fun to watch them, you know, especially Favreau. It's just good to hear him talk about it and just so easily just go into it, and you just know that you feel it, you see it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's in really good hands, this show.
And that seemed to be kind of the theme I noticed with just a lot of the people on a lot of the panels. And we all kind of know this as Star Wars fans anyways, but like, they're not just doing this stuff for a job, for a gig that they're doing. Yeah. Like, they're all super into it. Carl Weathers even mentioned it when he's out there. He's just like, I think this is the, you know, like biggest thing I've ever done.
Like best, or yeah.
And he seemed pretty awestruck by the crowd there in the Wind Trust, as did Gina.
And she said this is the best work she's ever done, which was, she was like really proud of like her performance there. And did you guys notice the moment where she was like, well, I used to do MMA and now I'm kind of an actor? Like she said, I'm kind of an actor. Yeah. And I know she had done a part where like she did the on-screen performance, but somebody overdubbed her lines or whatever. So I just thought that was interesting. It was like she's maybe not like super confident in her full like in her ability as a total package like actor, complete actor. Yeah. But then when she was talking about her performance in this, like she seemed pretty, you know what I mean? Like, no, I brought it for this, you know. So because it's really cool. Yeah. So everybody, you can feel that confidence from people that they like, that they're like, no, this rules. Like, you guys are going to love this. It's going to be awesome.
And that's the benefit of working under like a really good director. Like, you feel like amazing from doing it. And I mean, Favreau doesn't have a dud under his belt. Like, I mean, everything he's done has been good to great. So,
yeah.
And she also commented, Favreau started talking about it, but obviously it makes sense for her with her background. She pretty much did all of her stunts. And then the other actors were also wanting to do their own as well. So it's kind of like they drove each other along, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he was talking about how he would leave the set because he had to go oversee special effects on Lion King, and he'd come back later and find Carl Weathers like swinging from a cable with a squib on his belly, and like, what? This is our star. We can't. And same thing with Gina, but like, how are you guys letting them do that? And Filoni was like, well, we can't stop them. They're so enthusiastic. They're just wanting to do all this stuff, you know. So no, yeah. Yeah, and Pedro Pascal, he was awesome. He was cheesing out, like so excited that like I get to play this character, which was really
he was taking
cool.
pictures of the audience when he walked out.
Oh yeah. He took more than one. Yeah, he like brought his phone out, took a picture of the audience, and he like sat down at the table and he took another one. Like he was really excited. That was the one thing they didn't really say anything about the Mandalorian, the character itself, like very little. Although he did say he has questionable moral character.
Yeah,
which was interesting.
I mean, and like we can tell that by him like dealing with Werner Herzog's character, who is like this shady post-imperial.
Yeah, they definitely used the word underworld.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I don't. Should we spoil it? Like that line that when he was surrounded by the stormtroopers. Like
Yes.
that was so good because Werner Herzog's character told him like put your blaster down because he was surrounded by these 4 stormtroopers and they had their blasters out, and he was like tell them to put theirs down first, and he was like there's 4 of them and 1 of you. And the Mandalorian was like, I like those odds. And it was pretty good.
It was so snappy. And like, I mean, that's not like a super like original line or anything, but the delivery of it was like perfect.
The moment was good.
Yeah.
And do we know who Imperial Officer Tony Stark was that came out from that side door?
Tony Stark.
What?
Oh, those like Tony Stark looking sunglasses. I thought.
I don't know who
First
that
thing
is.
Came into my head.
Oh
no, but I thought he was going to get killed. But no, I don't know who he is. So
yeah. I mean, like, it's such an interesting time frame that we haven't really seen explored.
Yeah.
But also like we're seeing this like new era, and that's exciting. But not only that, we're seeing like the first live action Star Wars TV show. And the budget and production is out of control.
It looks really good.
It looks like a movie.
Chris, cover your ears. But like, there was a couple times where I was like, it just looks like Rogue One. Like it just looks like straight out of like in the sense that it just felt like all the shots and the footage we saw just seems like it could be from a Star Wars movie. It did not look like a TV show. I mean, I know that in 2019, like there's all kinds of TV shows that look just as good as movies do, you know, and so it's falling into that category. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like Suits on USA, which I see the trailers for all the time when I'm watching wrestling.
Yeah,
you know? It looks like it looks good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And they also gave us a really cool poster when it was over.
They did.
Cool. So we all got one of those, and that's great.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, that was an excellent panel. Clone Wars, we don't really know much about because we weren't there.
There was a trailer I just saw that popped up. Oh yeah, you went to
yeah, Ryan watched a stream of it, right? You didn't go to the Wintrust, but you saw the stream.
I went to the celebration or the Star Wars show stage.
Can you give us a quick rundown on what to expect or what was?
Yeah. They showed 3 or 4 clips, including like there was like a pre-trailer. There was a couple clips from episodes. Then what was really cool was they showed like an unfinished scene. So it was like all like work in progress animation, and then they showed like a true series trailer. And in between it was just like it started with just like Warwick Davis interviewing Filoni and Ashley
Eckstein.
Yep. D. Bradley Baker and Sam Witwer, and then they brought out, eventually they brought out like everyone else. So like James Arnold Taylor, Matthew Wood, like just the whole crew. And so
was Matt Lanter there?
Matt Lanter was there, yeah. So and like at this point, like the really strong relationships those people all have with each other, and like they're again, it was like you're getting excited for this show because you see the people involved in it like being entertaining and excited.
What about the Siege of Mandalore? Did they show any of that or talk about that?
They did not show it. They dropped some hints. And like Sam Witwer was like, it's not what I was expecting at all.
Ooh.
It like honestly is shocking.
Because that was one of my, I wouldn't say concerns, but that was one of my thoughts with the show coming back was like, and I'm not a Clone Wars expert, so maybe I shouldn't even say anything here, but I remember like they showed some animatics and kind of like basically at one of those panels in 2015 or 2017, they kind of basically said like, oh, here's everything that was going to happen. Like, Ahsoka was going to show up, Anakin was going to have this emotional moment with her, they were going to do the Siege of Mandalore, and they kind of explained everything. Yeah. So it was like, oh, well, when they're bringing it back, are they just going to do all the stuff they already talked about? And
no, because like Dave was showing like sketches that he had that like when he was talking about it with George, but he's like, everything's changed now. Like we brought in some of the stuff from that we were going to do in Clone Wars. We brought some of that into Rebels, so we can't do something that like contradicts it.
Oh.
And he's like, time's passed. Like I've had more time to think about it. Like I'm writing these episodes. And something that really struck me that, he said on here was, this has to be better than what we've done before, or else what's the point?
That's cool. Yeah.
And so like, he showed some of the like sketches and like storyboards and stuff, and like also talked about like how they were improving their animation process because they have like newer technology and stuff, but they're still trying to keep like the look the same. So that was really cool. And then like something that I think is really exciting is they showed one scene of Ahsoka in the like underworld of Coruscant, and on level 1313.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that seems really cool, and they introduced 2 new characters that are new to Clone Wars, new to Star Wars, these sisters, and they seem who like live in 1313, and like the war just like isn't affecting them because they have their own problems, and like the Republic and the Separatists don't like care about them. And so they're like bringing like a cool, interesting perspective to the show, because they're just like, yeah, you guys are up there fighting the war and stuff, and we're like just trying to survive down here. And so like I think that's going to be like a really cool new dynamic as well.
And how much is this only going to be, like 12 episodes or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a lot of stuff for just 12 episodes.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll still just be the typical like 21 and a half minutes, or if they're going to be longer. I mean, they could kind of do whatever they want since it's going to be on the streaming service.
Yeah.
Well, and I wonder if they're going to do, because one of the things that was, not unique, but a trademark of Clone Wars was how they did the arcs. You know what I mean? So you'd get like a 2 or 3 episode arc. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like potentially, how they had like an arc about, what was his name?
You
like
could have like 4 different arcs.
Something Gascon, that little, alien thing. They might just follow a character for 2 or 3 episodes and then that's it. You know what I mean? So it could be like that sort of thing. Or maybe it's going to be more of like how Rebels and Resistance is, where it's like one continuous story throughout the season. So I don't know.
Yeah,
but
and I mean, you got to look at like who were the voice actors that were up there.
Sure.
So you can kind of like assume that.
So you get some clone troopers. You'll get Ahsoka. You'll get Anakin,
Obi-Wan, Maul,
Darth Maul. Or yeah, I'm sorry, Maul, not Darth Maul.
Yeah,
they have Rex.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and something Sam Witwer said is that we're going to. He was talking about how Maul has like, always kind of been focused on like one thing, and he, has multiple times gotten close to like achieving what he wanted, but like has never, been able to do that, and the cycle continues. And Witwer said that he in this series, like he comes close to breaking the cycle and has a new approach to things, and it's like a Maul that we haven't quite seen before.
Okay,
so
interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Did you get the Ahsoka poster?
I did not, because I was at Star Wars Show Live stage, not the Wind Trust.
Oh, you weren't in one of the streaming panels. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah. It seemed like a smaller poster than most of them, which was interesting. So,
it's a really cool poster.
It is cool. Okay.
Ahsoka with a whole bunch of fire behind her.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
cool. All right. Well, I think that covers kind of Saturday and Sunday from Star Wars Celebration for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, the last thing that we were all at was the Into the Archives panel with Paul Duncan.
And that was cool. Just kind of talked about stuff from the book, and it was definitely good and very detailed. But then at the end, which is really exciting because we're getting ready to watch Phantom Menace right now, and we're getting ready in the morning to go to the Phantom Menace panel, and we're very pumped about the prequels at the moment. At least I am. And
always,
and they announced Star Wars Archives episodes 1 through 3, and so that book is amazing. Although none of us have it because it's $150.
We can't afford it.
I want to get it, but I know it's amazing, and it's really cool that they're doing an episode, like a prequel version of that book. Like,
and it's funny because like all of us we were talking to like Mike Skymaller as well from Retro Zap, and we were all like outside the panel, and we were all like, "Yeah, I haven't bought this book because it's like $150 or $200." But now that they announced there's going to be another one, I really need to get it.
Yeah.
So like first, we're always like, well, I can't spend $150 on a book, but like now I need to spend $400 on two books.
Between the two. Well, this one's not coming out till fall of 2020, so we've got some time. Yeah,
time to start saving.
I have to just count how many months it is until like October of 2020, and then figure out how many dollars I have to put away each month, so I have the money.
What 2020?
Yeah.
That would be 18.
18 months. So what's 150 divided by 18, Dan?
150 divided by 18.
Less than 10, right?
Less than 10, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I can do it.
Pennies.
Pennies on the... Well, not really pennies. More like...
Oh, it's a lot of pennies. Like 900 pennies a month.
Any amount of money is some number of pennies, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. That's about probably time to cut it. That's when it's like, okay, we can end the show.
Yeah.
When the conversation's getting to that point. So we'll one way or another we'll talk about our Monday experience. Probably not tomorrow. Actually, definitely not tomorrow night. But
definitely not tomorrow night.
At some point we'll talk about our Monday experience. And hopefully that'll include being in the Wintrust Arena for the Phantom Menace panel. Seeing it some way, and hopefully it'll be really great. I think it will be. What a great way to round out Celebration. The last day, having it be like very Phantom Menace focused. I think that's going to be really cool. Can't wait. And I'm so excited for it that I'm getting ready to put the Phantom Menace in and watch it right now. Yeah. So we're going to see you later, okay? And thanks very much for watching. And although this one's not a video, so thanks very much for listening to the Blockade Runner Podcast. Follow everything we do at blockaderunnerpodcast.com. Email us and let us know what you think of the show at blockaderunnerpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at blockaderun. And you guys want to throw out your Twitter handles?
Yeah, I think like the reason we couldn't do a video was because there was a communications disruption.
It can only mean one thing. Yeah.
Invasion.
Yeah. Yeah.
At Brandwarf, BRAWNDWARF.
At the Big Sweat.
At Hollywood Chris. I don't know who's got that handle, but it should be you, Chris.
About to find out.
Yeah. Van Nuys Chris. Mm-hmm. How about Van Nuys Cruise Night Chris? There we go. That's maybe too long for a Twitter handle, but he could do it. All right. So, bye.
I will not condone a course of action that will lead my people to war.
It's outrageous.